evening, everyone. I am Shonda Branch, your host for the virtual red carpet for this evening at the Big Night Inn. I know you've been looking forward to this evening just as much as I have been. I'm so excited to see all of the amazing talent, homegrown, local talent that's made it big on a national stage. This evening is going to be a celebration of the arts, but we also want to recognize that this has been a really difficult time for our arts community. That's why we want to take a moment to say thank you right now to the more than 100 individuals, corporations, and foundations who have signed up in advance of this evening to be sponsors. The Mary Duke Biddle Foundation, the PNC Bank, SciMed Solutions, the City of Raleigh, UNC Health, Synergy Face and Body, Wegmans, and we want to recognize a gift from the Jenny Lillian Simmons Courtebajon Trust. During the next half hour, we're going to have some great guests lined up. But before we get to that, I want to introduce poet Minnie Herman, who's going to lead us in an artistic exercise.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. You are here because you support the arts, and you're at this party because we want the arts to support you this evening. It's been quite a year. A lot of strange things have happened this year, and I'm guessing that you're here because you're the sort of person that does a lot of taking care of other people. So tonight, for the next few minutes, we're going to find ways to take care of you. So if you're like me, you tend to just give and give and give and do everything and work really hard and completely run yourself ragged and wear yourself out, and then you have to replenish yourself. And that replenishment might take the form of, I don't know, an entire chocolate cake or a box of Valentine's candy. Or maybe it's a trip to someplace wonderful in those days when we can take trips. And we will be able to do that again soon. And then you end up feeling really guilty because you've eaten too much or you've spent too much money. And that's not really great for us. So you run yourself down and then you replenish yourself. So I've invented something that I call plenishment. Plenishment is figuring out the things that make you happy, the things that give you pleasure, the things that make you feel like you, the things that make you feel excited to be alive, that calm you down when everything's overwhelming. Maybe these are things that you can eat. So maybe it's your favorite food. I'm a big caprese fan. I also like chocolate. Maybe it's things that you can smell. Sometimes I'll just open a bottle of lemon extract and inhale, because it's so wonderful, or an orange, a fresh orange, or go outside in the spring and smell the woods. Maybe it's things that you see, sunrise or sunset, or the beach with the waves coming in at dusk. Maybe it's something that you can feel, like smushing your face into your dog's fur, or when your cat curls up in the crook of your arm, or a perfect sweater that's just all nice and cozy. Maybe it's things that you can, we've got taste, we've got smell, we've got see, we've got feel, things you can hear, your favorite music, the sound of birds in the spring. So here's the deal. I'm going to ask you to help me write a poem. And the way you're going to do it is in chat, wherever you are going to write everything you can think of that plenishes you. And imagine you have this really cool movie camera that has taste-o-vision and touch-o-vision and see-o-vision and hear-o-vision and smell-o-vision, and it can really zoom in. So everything that you describe, make us feel like we're experiencing it too. And I will be able to see a lot of the chat. I will be able to see you if you're on RDU on Stage Facebook page, the United Arts Council Facebook page, or United Arts Council YouTube. But even if you're on something else, go ahead and put your ideas in the chat because you want to remember them. So when I say go, start putting those in the chat. And I'm going to watch them. And if I want to know more, I'm going to ask you about them. All right. On your mark. Get ready. Get set. Go. Your favorite smells, tastes, sounds, things you can see, things you can feel. I'm waiting. I'm going to move to the edge of my seat. I feel like we should have some music, some game show music or something. Cinnamon, the Lord Jesus, joy, hugs. Oh gosh, I miss those hugs so much. The first flowers of spring, cheesecake. What kind of cheesecake, Sarah? Which flowers, Jamie? A warm face in the sun. Is that your warm face or someone else's warm face, Allison? Ooh, a fire. Freshly turned earth. Cat's Cafe. Cat's Cafe. I want to know more about that. Yellow. Which yellow? What kind of pizza? Oh, a fire in the fireplace. Listening to it crackle. Remembering Antarctica. I've never been there. Make me feel like I'm there. What music, Elise? Hot tea. Warm vanilla scent. Cuddles with your dog. Hugs from your family. French fries. My favorite food. It should have its own food group. Sound of thunder. I love that. Oh, crocuses, Jamie. Julia, what kind of music? Or is it the sound of music, the musical? Your warm face in the sun, like today. Wasn't it a beautiful day to go outside? Ooh, dolce duce at Cheesecake Factory? That sounds delicious. Cheese pizza. I'm hoping it's like triple cheese, Elise. Sunflowers, yes. What a plant. It turns its face to the sun. R&B music, who's your favorite? Chocolate cake. Is that with chocolate frosting? Ganache. I'm a big ganache fan. Music from the 80s. Sarah, I've got to know the bands. Fresh cut grass, Linda, that's gorgeous. Any music. Julia, you are phenomenal. Cat Cafe. I still want to know what Cat Cafe is. Birds singing. You have a favorite kind of birds, Chuck? Coffee on the beach. Is that a morning thing or an afternoon thing, Rachel? What else? Give me more. This is an amazing poem you guys are writing. How about some people or some places that you love? A journey. Where would you like to journey? Funfetti cake, Emily. I love it. Country music. Who's your favorite, Rachel? Hope it's one of mine. Prince. Okay, Sarah, you totally have me. Miss him so. All of them, Chuck. That's great. Welsh End. Tell me more about that one. Waves crashing. Now, are you an Atlantic person or a Pacific person, Linda? Because I know you love both. The smell of the sea in the morning. Baseball, who's your team? Country music, the smell of a newborn. Wow, you have 30 seconds left to type yours. Afternoon coffee on the beach, not a morning person. I'm with you, Rachel. Welsh mountains. Oh my gosh, your name looks Welsh. That looks fantastic. Ocean waves, Wrightsville Beach, toes in the sand, all country music books, and Done Boot Scootin' Boogie. Yeah, Sarah. Think About You by JoJo. Sunsets through the trees. What else? Your cat Quill. I love it. Your daughter. Tell me about your daughter, Andrea. Why is she so special? Rock climbing. Sunsets. Oh, 2 sunsets. I love it. Sunsets are a big hit today. So just add your last one if you've got it. Any more? Holding hands with my love. Boy, that's a good one to end on. That makes me really happy, you guys. So here's the deal. Oh, cool air in the North Carolina mountains. Maybe while you're holding hands with your love. Your lover's hair, children singing. These are beautiful. So here is your mission. After this evening is all over and you've listened to some bluegrass music, excellent, ocean breeze in Florida, Demi Lovato's music, her smile, her bright eyes, her laughter. Florida, after this evening is over, I want you to take 5 to 10 minutes with a piece of paper. It's best if you write it out and make your list. Make your list and put it somewhere where you can see it every day. And make sure that you do at least one of these things every day because life is too short not to take care of yourself every single day. So I'll read you these last few things: dancing barefoot, children's giggles, hiking with grandparents, more Florida. We love Florida. We miss Florida. Make your list. Make sure you do one of these at least every day and probably several. And now we are going to move on to the next part of our evening. We have provided an entire evening of plenishment for you because you are such great supporters of the arts and we love you so much. So think about those children's giggles, a nice pair of old sneakers. Enjoy your evening of plenishment and your days henceforth of plenishment. It's been great hearing all the wonderful things you have to offer.
Artists like Mimi Herman and my next guest, Mike Wiley, have continued to get quality arts programming into schools across our state through Artist in Residence programming. Mike Wiley and I had a chance to catch up, along with Lauren Van Hemert from RDU on Stage, and this is what he had to say.
I know, because you and I have spoken before, that so much of your work takes you to the rural areas of our state. And I want to talk about how the arts councils help make the arts accessible to areas that may not have a performing arts center, may not have a theater to go to. We're very spoiled in Raleigh-Durham because we have tons of theaters. But talk about how the arts councils help make those programs accessible to areas that don't have access.
Well, here's the thing. Most of those places don't have art centers. Most of those places don't have performing arts centers or large stages or venues and things of that nature. And so the work that Chatham Arts, that Orange County Arts, that Durham Arts Council, that United Arts, that all these places do is helps our work spread far out into the communities, into the outskirts of the communities, right? Far out into those places where the school, right? The school, as you're driving up, and all you see is either farmland or cornfields, and suddenly there's a school that pops out in the middle of nowhere. That's how far out that work and those donations and the work of the arts councils and the artists, that's how far out it is reaching. And to see the looks on those kids' faces when they see me walking into the school with my little set pieces, or sometimes I walk in costume because I have 2 shows and I just don't have time to change from one costume to another, or out of my costume into my civilian clothes. But the point is, when I walk into that school, the students automatically see me, and their eyes just brighten up and they widen, because they know that day they are going to get to see a performance, right? That they are going to step away from their desks, step away from their classrooms. Their cafeteria for an hour is about to be transformed from that cafegematorium into whatever land that we as a community, right? Because that's what we're making. The kids, myself, the teachers, we are creating community. So in that this community creates, the world that this community creates, whether that's the world of Jackie Robinson, right? So are we going to go back to the 40s and to the 50s with Jackie Robinson? Or are we going to go even further back with One Noble Journey and Henry Box Brown? Are we going to go that far back? But the point is that as a community, we are going to create this place right here and now for an hour. And I'm going to not only entertain, but educate these young people and have a good time doing it.
Mike, so much of your work is about contextualizing history, and for audiences who haven't seen your work, who might be living under a rock at this point, because your work is everywhere, but audiences who might be exposed to your work for the first time on the WRAL broadcast later, talk to me a little bit about how the arts help us make sense of our history and even kind of grapple with the present.
Thank you for that question. Gosh, the arts are often the key to opening that door to understanding, right? And behind that door is history. Behind that door are the past lives and the past events that have shaped us as a society, shaped us as human beings, shaped us as a nation. And what the arts does, it helps contextualize those events, helps contextualize those individuals so that we can have a true, dialogue about them, right? A true fact-filled dialogue, not a few, not a, not a, not a dialogue that is filled with ambiguous opinions, but a fact-filled dialogue that really pushes us forward. That's what art does, right? But it does it in a way that makes it accessible to everyone. It doesn't put it up here where it's hard to reach, right? You got to put it where the goats can get it, right? As Joe Madison, the old talk show host, would say, you got to put it, right? You got to put that art where everybody can have access to it, which is what the arts councils do. Put it where everybody can have access to it so we can learn from it, right? And in learning from it, right, again, we push forward. We are able to push forward and reach new understanding about those historic events, but also, just like you said, the present, right? Contextualize what's happening now. Look out into the world and see these protests and understand them for what they are, right? Understand what those protests are for and why they are happening, why there is unrest here or there, or wherever there is unrest, or wherever someone is standing before a crowd and saying or spouting or preaching whatever they are preaching. The history, right? The history we go through, that we've swam through, is what teaches us whether what they are saying is right or wrong. And if we are not able to swim through that history, right? If it is not accessible to us, or the door is closed to us, then what we see, we might take as wholehearted truth. And
could you try again?
I apologize, my Siri just didn't understand my statement. Let me rephrase it for Siri and for you. What I'm trying to say is that when we are looking at the past and taking a true look at the past and understanding, right? Understanding what we have gone through as human beings, we are able to suss out whether what we are being fed or what we are being told, using those two, is the complete truth, right? As I always say, there are three truths. There's your truth, my truth, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
In this 2021 AP period and going forward, what does art look like? How do we address some of the things that have become our past in living through a global pandemic and living through social strife and anxiety? What's next? How does Mike Wiley Productions and how does Mike Wiley address and impact the future?
Whew. That is a great question. And, the one thing that I have learned from this pandemic is something that I've known for many years and rarely put into practice. And I think that it is something that we've all known for many years and we all rarely put it into practice. And that is, take the time to take the time, or rather, take the time to take your time. Take your time in spending whatever it is, your evenings, your all days with your family. Take the time. The work that you're passionate about, take your time. Coming out into the light and doing the work that is needed to make the world a better place, and you need to take your time in doing that. Take your time. Take the time to take the time, right? That is one thing that I have learned from this pandemic and always knew, but have yet to put it into practice. But this entire year, I have put it into practice, and that is taking my time. So I am taking my time, right? Reclaiming my time, right? I am reclaiming my time with my family, reclaiming my time with my friends, first and foremost, reclaiming my time, right? So I'm doing that, but at the same time, I'm looking and realizing that art is going to change, right? AP, as you said, right? After the pandemic, these boxes that we find ourselves talking in so often, they're not going to go away. In fact, these boxes are going to make us closer. Now that we have these Zoom boxes and the ability to video chat with each other at a hairpin's notice, we are going to be doing that more often. It's going to change the theater, because there are going to be people that won't want to come back to the theater. That is absolutely certain. And sure, it'll be a small amount, but there will be people who won't want to come back to the theater, won't want to come back to enclosed places. But what we have now is the ability to have people in front of us, presently in front of us, but also at home, watching from home. So we're going to have to figure out ways to combine those audiences so that what they are watching at home is almost at least as fulfilling as it is to be watching it in person. So we're going to see a lot of that, and I'm going to work towards doing a lot of that in my own work, right? I'm going to find ways to have audiences right there with me and in front of me, but also watching from miles and miles away, which has happened. Right there at the Clayton Center, I had folks up in the balcony, but there are also people watching from England. There are also people watching from Alaska. So we're gonna make this big tent, right? This big old circus tent, right? We're gonna make it so that everybody can come in. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to be a part of this joy, be a part of this art, regardless of where you might be in the world, or even your financial standing, because you weren't able to afford a ticket to go to the actual theater, but you can afford a ticket, or even if it's free, to watch it at home online and still feel like you're being let into the room. Because I'm going to talk to you, the audience, whether you're in front of me or if you are, miles away. I'm going to try and make it my best, do my best to be inclusive, right? As inclusive as I can.
I am such a fan of Mike Wiley's, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to catch up with him and talk for a little while. Be sure to see him in his exclusive performance during the Big Night In broadcast, which starts at 7 p.m. on WRAL. Now I want to turn to my friend Charles Phaneuf, who has been working tirelessly to support all of our arts organizations and our artists. He stepped into his role as president of the United Arts Council of Wake County just before the world shut down, and immediately put on his advocacy hat to ensure that our arts organizations would have the funding and resources that they desperately needed to survive this pandemic. As an artist myself, who sits on the boards of several arts organizations around the county, and also as a teacher in our schools, I know firsthand just how important arts advocates like Charles, our arts councils, and our organizations like Arts North Carolina are. Here's Charles with Arts NC's Nate McGaha to tell us more.
Great. Well, hey, everybody. It's the night of Big Night In for the Arts, and we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. But, tonight's event is about support of the arts, private support of the arts. And that's super important. And we really appreciate you being so generous, all of our sponsors being so generous. But, we care about the arts and about the public sector supporting the arts community as well. And so we wanted to have a conversation with our good friend, the Executive Director of Arts North Carolina, Nate McGaha. And the reason for that is because we are just under 2 weeks away from Arts Day. And so we wanted to learn a little bit about that. And so first of all, welcome, Nate.
Thank you very much for having me, Charles.
Yeah, for sure. So great. Well, why don't you start off, Nate, by telling us a little bit about Arts North Carolina. Tell us what it is. Tell us what your mission is.
Sure. Well, Arts North Carolina is the statewide advocacy organization for the arts and arts education. We work for public funding and policy for both nonprofit arts organizations and also the larger creative economy, as well as comprehensive arts education, K-12, all the way up through university.
That's awesome. Very cool. And the organization's been around how long again?
See, we've been around as Arts North Carolina since the early 90s. So I think we're hitting our 25th anniversary coming up pretty soon.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about Arts Day. Like, what is the event? Why do you do it every year?
Well, so Arts Day is actually several days, and it is an event that's kind of our annual conference of art and action. It's a chance for arts advocates, arts lovers, and arts leaders from all across the state to, well, usually come together in Raleigh, but this year we're going to be coming together online, March 22nd through the 24th. But the real magic of Arts Day and what makes it so important is that we also take that time to meet with our elected officials at the North Carolina General Assembly. We make sure that there's at least a day, one day of conference, and then another day completely devoted to meeting with elected officials and telling them about the value of the arts and letting them know how public support of the arts can really help communities across the state.
That's great. And you've had some really nice wins this year. I mean, the graduation requirement, tell us a little bit about that, some of the relief funding.
Absolutely. So after 10 years of work on creating a arts high school graduation requirement in the state of North Carolina, was finally signed into law last July, early July of last year. And basically now, starting with the class of sixth graders entering 2023, in order for them to be able to graduate from high school, they'll need 1 credit between 6th and 12th grade in the arts, either music, dance, visual arts, or theater. So super excited about that because, you know, I mean, so important for a well-rounded education. And, you know, we know that some of the most socioeconomically challenged students are 5 times more likely to graduate from high school and twice as likely to graduate from college if they're involved in the arts for 4 years. So that was a really big win for us in 2020. Also with the North Carolina General Assembly, we saw a substantial amount of CARES Act funding through the state of North Carolina, $9.4 million distributed in grants through the North Carolina Arts Council statewide. So that relief funding came just in the nick of time for a lot of struggling arts organizations because, as you know, arts organizations across the state, particularly the performing arts, have been shuttered since March, and you know, many not sure when they're going to be open, hoping in the fall if vaccine rollouts go well. So that kind of public support has been crucial, as well as the private support from donors and foundations across the state.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for all that you've done and what's been a really, really challenging year. And I mean, it's been, you know, incredibly hard on these organizations, not to mention the tragic loss of life and of arts patrons and so forth, and artists. Nate, tell us a little bit, like, even if people can't make it to Arts Day, tell us just briefly about a few things that people can do to be arts advocates all year round. Absolutely.
The easiest way to get involved is to go to our website, artsnc.org. And sign up for our email list. That's how we keep everybody informed on what's going on, and also give you easy tools and let you know when a good time to connect to your legislator is. A lot of times we'll send out calls to action. It takes 2 minutes to get an email out with the right message at the right time. Also, while you're there, a plethora of information. There's a big button in the center of the homepage of the website for Arts Day 2021. So I encourage everybody to check that out. Even just to sign up to come talk to legislators if you don't want to do the entire conference, as well as check out thecreativestate.org, which is an opportunity for you to get your own Arts North Carolina license plate. You see those Creative State plates zipping around the highways in North Carolina. That's a great way to show everybody that you love the arts. It's also very colorful, so it helps you to find your car in a crowded parking lot. And proceeds from that.
And to identify other arts people you see out on the street. You're like, oh, there's
Right.
that person I know because I recognize they've got a PT Cruiser with a arts. Yeah.
When I pull into a parking lot and I see lots of plates around, I know I've found my people. But yeah, that funding helps us to work for the arts at the General Assembly all year long. And part of those proceeds also go to put wildflowers on the side of the road.
Beautiful. Well, great. Well, thanks so much, Nate. Appreciate you taking a few minutes. And I look forward to seeing you on Arts Day and probably before then too.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to enjoying my big night in.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. In a few minutes, our time together is going to be wrapping up, but we wanted to again thank you and our sponsors who we mentioned earlier, as well as encourage you to see the full sponsor list at bignightin.org, including RDU on Stage, which is producing this digital kickoff party. Big Night In will continue on WRAL, WRAL.com, and the WRAL app at 7 p.m. Please get your TV, your computer, your other devices ready. And if you're watching on WRAL, all you need to do is select the channel on your remote, and you can access audio description from Arts Access by selecting SAP. That means Second Audio Program function. If you're watching online, there will be a link on the WRAL.com homepage starting at 7 p.m. And the program is also available on the WRAL app. Closed captioning is available on all these platforms. So I'll see you over there. Enjoy the big night in.